Hello and thanks for joining us today. You're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod, episode 174. Today we're going to have news from around the world with Rori. We'll be catching up with all the games at the weekend, some brilliant games being played in the WPR, and we'll also be talking to Rachel Taylor, who's going to take us into the Shark Tank to see what's going over on in Sale. I'm Sarah Bern with Johnnie Hammond, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Hello, Bernard. How are we?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. You had a fun weekend. It's quite fun. I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to be injured, but yeah, actually managing to do a few different things. You were out and about the weekend, schmoozing, broadcasting. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, I was out. Got to go to the men's game, the men's Wales game, and do some events there. Speak to some people, do a little speaking with Rocky Clark actually, and some amazing rugby players as well alongside her. So yeah, that was really fun. It's something different. I've not done that before. So hopefully that good to do some more things like that, try something new. When you're not playing, you can get quite caught up on not playing and being injured and not being able to do things. So actually there's loads of things you can do. You just got to go out and try them. And then again on Sunday I was at the Bristol Gloucester game, but this time I was helping with the BBC Radio on the comms, which again, something totally new. It was really fun, although I did catch myself also being a supporter sometimes. I'm really like, ooh, like, oh, shouldn't probably say those things, but I think it was really good fun. It was great for a first try. So hopefully, they'll have me back. If not, I'll know I wasn't very good at it.
That is the key. If you get asked back, then you know you've done something good. Don't expect any feedback. That's the world of broadcasting. Nobody gives any feedback anymore. What did you find the hardest bit? I'm intrigued, obviously.
I think because it was Bristol Gloucester, I know a lot of the players really well. So it was like using nicknames like Mo or like Bots, stuff like that, which obviously if you're a listener and you don't know a lot, I guess that's hard to follow. But I did manage to pick up the names a bit quicker. And especially with people that got married, like Alicia got married at Christmas to Jazz. So it's like, instead of Alicia Butchers, which is something I've known for years, it's Alicia Butchers Joyce. It's like just getting used to the whole names and those kind of things. But I really enjoyed it. It was quite fun.
It was slightly, you found respect for us mugs behind microphones on match days now.
Yeah, definitely. And there were sometimes, in Gloucester, there's the pillars holding the stand. So like on each 22, you can't quite see sometimes what's happening. So you're sat like ducking and diving, like, oh, I don't know what happened there. But yeah, definitely a newfound respect. It was really, really good. Did you have a good week?
Stuff. Yes, I was behind the mic at the StoneX. And fair play to them. There was a couple of record crowds over the weekend, weren't there? Actually, we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, big old crowd. They marketed it very well. It was a bitty game. It was. It was a bitty game. Lots of mistakes, lots of handling errors. No real sort of flow to the game. I don't think the rain and drizzle kind of helped either, but great to be there. And I have to say, TNT and Buzz 16 who are doing the productions. Nice busy show, speaking to lots of people. Lou Meadows, we had a chat with her. There's in-game chats with coaches and stuff and what have you. So, yeah, really busy, really lively stuff. So, yeah, I think it's going from strength to strength, the broadcast of the league. And we've got a big weekend coming up in a couple of weekends. I mean, the Super Weekend, all 4 games are being shown, a couple live on TNT and a couple are streamed as well. So, I think it's going from strength to strength on that front. Let's remind you, if you haven't seen the results from the PWR, the English Top League, Premiership Women's Rugby over the weekend. Saracens 29, Harlequins 24. Loughborough Lightning 17, Leicester 22. Gloucester-Hartpury 24, Bristol 19, Exeter 64, Sale 5. We'll obviously get into that with Rachel Taylor Tales when she comes on in a minute. But the other results, let's start at the StoneX. Bitty old game, a great crowd. McKinley Hunt hat-trick, buried under multiple bodies every single try she scored. Quins got a yellow card. Saracens about 19 points while they were down. Quins do come away with a couple of bonus points, which is big on the table, also considering the Loughborough result. And they did come back, but they just, it's not like watching normally Saracens, but Gloucester and Bristol at times as well, and Exeter. They're just not at that level, I don't think, at the moment. You catch up with anyone? Zoe was at Twickenham with you, wasn't she?
Yeah, I bumped in. Me and Zoe were doing something at half time at the men's game, and I asked how it was. She was like, it was all right. I think for her, it was nice for her to be back and playing because she hasn't been back for a while because of ACL. So I spoke to her about that. But yeah, I think by the sounds of it, it was a bit of a bitty game. It's one of those games where you're going to be happy that you've won. Sometimes you have to win ugly, and that's what Saris are brilliant at, to be honest, getting into sticky situations and getting out, and that's why they're a top 4 team. So, but yeah, by the sounds of it, I don't feel like anyone was loving it or yeah.
Yeah, not overly impressed. One of the main reasons I like doing this job is getting close to people and getting people's confidence. And I think I have a pretty good relationship with Alex Horsebury over the years, and we had a very honest chat. And a lot of it would never hear the likes of day because that's confidential stuff. But yeah, he said, it's 5 points, park it and move on. Did what they needed to do. One thing I would reflect on is Ella Cromack, 18 years of age, fly half, is proper.
Yeah. I think some of the girls, she got called into camp because there's a fair few injuries in England at the minute, and I think the girls were really impressed with her. She seems like a really nice girl, very down to earth, which is always nice coming into a new senior environment. It's good to have very humble, excited to be there and wanting to learn. So the girls told me, obviously I wasn't there, but they said she had a really nice energy around her, and she just really wanted to do well. And I think the girls were really impressed with her. And a few of the players said to me yesterday, well, Ella Cromack had a good game there. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see how she continues to grow. And I'm sure we'll be seeing a future Red Rose there.
Yeah, no, genuinely made a big difference. And now, difficult, isn't it? So Emily Scott, you play at 10 or 15. She's been playing sort of out on the wing, bizarrely. But I might be a bit of push to start her. Do you then lose? Does Emily Scott go to fullback? But then what do you do with Eddie Kildan, who's devastating? But yeah, she's an impressive young lady. Some joyous times and some tough times ahead of her. But staying in the moment. Loughborough.
I think that was the shock of the weekend.
We didn't see it coming, did we?
No, I definitely, like I said, Leicester, I did say like they've been building really nicely. I said they'd probably get some snazzy tries in. I think some of them were chips and chases, stuff like that. And that's the kind of exciting rugby that Leicester are trying to play. But yeah, I do really feel for Loughborough because they also have been building really nicely and they really put out some good fights the last few weeks. So it's a very close score. But yeah, I'd like to know Sadia's thoughts on that and around that. I bumped into Sunter at the hospitality boxes and I said, how's Nathan and is he all right? And Sunter just was like, he just needs he's not the happiest right now. He just needs 5 minutes. So I think that's really, really frustrating for them. I am gutted for Loughborough because I think they've been doing really, really well building into this season.
Yeah, lots of bits to pick up on there. No Sadia today. She's travelling back. I did ask her for her thoughts. She said discipline. They kicked and quicker tap down the field. We weren't physical enough. Basic skills. It was raining and we didn't execute to the best. But it's sort of wider perspective for the league that we wanted Loughborough Lightning chasing, didn't we? Putting pressure on that top four, and that it does slightly change things, which is a shame. Loughborough Lightning 9 points down from Bristol. That's quite a lot to make up. It really is.
Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay Peat and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod. Enjoy!
Exeter 64, Sale 5, 10 tries in all. Edith Sinclair with a hat-trick. McDonald with a couple of tries on the wing as well. She a little shackled, but she was unleashed. Exeter set piece was very dominant. But look, don't need our thoughts on it. Rachel Taylor, the Grand Fromage at the Shark Tank. I don't know what. Is there a special name for someone who looks after sharks? I don't know. We'll email SeaWorld and let you all know next week. Rachel Taylor, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. That's a
you
great.
Okay.
I'm intrigued to know what that job title is.
Yeah, I'd love to know too. Slightly recovered from yesterday. I mean, apart from anything, the journey back from Exeter. How long was that?
It's a long one. We were lucky enough to go down the night before, so we stayed at the hotel just over the road to the ground. But yeah, the journey back is always a tough one. Obviously, a day for us yesterday as well, so sort of prolongs that journey and that feeling. But yeah, back this morning, nice and bright and early to speak to you guys. So.
Well, look, we hugely appreciate it. Because it's not easy, and with the run you're in, it's not an easy time to talk to people like us. Let's deal with Exeter then from yesterday. That's a large score. Where did it go wrong? Where did it go right?
Yeah, I thought we were pretty competitive probably for the first 20 minutes. There was some good stuff from us in terms of keeping the ball and playing in the right areas of the pitch, particularly getting into the 22. Obviously, 22 conversion's been a big work on for us this season, and unfortunately just missed an opportunity to take fairly early on in the game. We did come back, but it's probably that time between about the 30-minute mark and into half time was tough. Probably just didn't manage the game in the right ways that we needed to. Probably could have calmed down a little bit more and just looked after the ball. We still tried to play, which obviously I'll always back the girls in that respect, wanting to try and move the ball. But yeah, that was a difficult sort of period of time. And as you said, like the set piece struggled a little bit. So you know how dominant Exeter can be. They thrive off that power game and they're driving mauls. So once they'd found that blueprint, they were pretty consistent with it.
Yeah, I mean, sorry to carry on the SeaWorld analogy, but yeah, when they sniff a bit of blood, they do like to put the foot on the jugular, don't they, Exeter? And at home, good old crowd. That must have been tough. What was said at half time then? What do you say at half time?
For us at the moment, it's a lot about going back to like our principles of play and then the philosophy in which we want to play rugby. Probably quite simple messaging, to be honest, in terms of what we need to do to look after the ball. It's difficult because we wanted to be a little bit more free flowing and try and get some enjoyment back into the games. It's been a pretty tough run of games, and you know yourselves, it's difficult to find confidence sometimes in that. And obviously, playing with a smile on your face always brings a bit of confidence. So it was a bit of balance of that yesterday. But yeah, look, I think the players understand where we are at the moment, the road that we've got ahead of us and the amount of work that we've got to do ahead of us. And I think, you know, it would have been nice to go out and probably put a bit more of a hold on those first 10, 15 minutes in the second half. Probably could have tried to stem things. But yeah, like you said, Exeter were so strong. They knew exactly what they were doing. Their gain line carries were through the roof on us, to be honest. So once they'd found that mold, they just kept on it, foot on the jugular kind of stuff. But yeah, you know, credit to them. It was a good turnout, like you said, in terms of crowd, and they do things very well down there, and the crowd got behind them and they kept going. That's
7 in a row, Tails. Don't need to tell you that. And bottom of the table, we'll get on to points in a second, being taken away. How difficult is that as a coach, week in, so week out? I think you probably going back in tomorrow morning. Players got day off today.
Yeah, they're off today.
How do you start a fresh week? Is it literally Right, that's done and dusted. Or do you need to analyse and go through it with a fine tooth comb?
Yeah, like we review, preview and review. Probably with the Exeter games, it's been slightly different, and it probably will be a little bit with the Gloucester games as well because they're so close together. A lot of the other league games, you have a few weeks in between different oppositions. So these guys are obviously Exeter games were a couple of weeks apart. Gloucester will be a week apart, so it's a slightly different format. But yeah, look, it's about going back in. We did a bit of team building and stuff on the night before the game, and it's about staying together. Like that's the really difficult bit. I think in terms of the challenge that we face is staying united and as a team. And I think the group that we've got, they've all bought into what we're doing, and it's not easy, and there isn't a simple fix for us, but we're all very aware of that. And it's just about sort of knuckling down and knowing that we probably have an opportunity to sort of embed something this season, even though which will put us ahead of where we need to be next season. And that's sort of what we're trying to focus on at the moment, that long-term plan, the opportunity to put something down which makes us successful and robust enough and sustainable enough for years to come.
The Exeter, I think after their loss at the weekend, I think it would have been a hard game for anyone. I think they probably would have had a really difficult conversation after that game and been frustrated. And it's just unfortunate they seem to have taken it out on sale. But with the lead up, you've got Gloucester again back to back. How do you feel about that? Is it how are you preparing for it? Is it something you're looking forward to, or is it again Exeter, Gloucester? They're 3 hard games in the row. It will be quite challenging.
Yeah, it comes with its own challenges. Obviously, like it's where the rearrangements have fallen. It kind of you can go from like a 6-day turnaround to an 8-day turnaround. So it's a bit of a different sort of mapping of our weeks, really. But recovery will be the biggest focus for us at the moment. Obviously, we were away at Quins and then away at Exeter, so 2 weekends on the bounce away. So I guess it has its own demands on those guys that are working as well, to that like bit of life balance and juggling. So yeah, it's probably more around how we plan that week now in terms of recovery. We've got some skills clinics coming in with some of the men's senior players, which hopefully will add a bit of a different voice and a different energy. Looking at some of the Dupree brothers with like carrying skills, the Curry boys with breakdown. So just to add a bit of energy and enthusiasm back in. We're a tight group. They love each other, which goes a long way when you're in these scenarios. And they're willing to keep fighting and keep grafting because we know something better is coming around the corner. So
I didn't expect anything else, but you're incredibly chipper for kind of where you are. I want to pick up on a couple of points. Just another personnel, Beatrice Rigoni. Everybody delighted she's joining the league and what have you, and the quality. From what I've seen, that not quite bedded down. And correct me if I'm wrong. Is that just going to be a time thing? You're playing at 10 and 12. Where do you think her best position is?
For us, obviously, when she came in, we probably weren't looking at her as a fly half. Where we were, we had a few players. We were a few players deep in terms of what we had there, and I'm still really excited to see how her and Duffy connect. It won't come until the end of the season, which is a little bit frustrating, but I think the two of them will be pretty lethal. And she's had to do a job for us in that fly half position. Obviously, Mino came across from Worcester as sort of injury backup for us, but again for her, it's just finding her feet. It's really difficult. Again, the change, from Worcester to us, the language barriers. The Japanese player to the Italian player, there's all different bits in there to work with. But yeah, I think for us, I said something about Rigoni the other week, which she just can make the game just so beautifully simple at times. And I think every game she's growing into it, and she's growing into the group and her role within that. She has a huge influence on them in terms of confidence. And I think we just have to keep going with that. She's such an interesting character. I can't express but she's really good. She's really good around some of the players. And yeah, I think for us, she hates the cold. So Manchester, especially in the last 3 months, has not not probably been the best environment. At times she's like woolly hat. She's got a snooder, but I can literally just see her eyes in the snow, and she's just sort of freezing. But yeah, I think, you know, as she gets more comfortable with the group, combinations around her, you know, she's getting to know Katana quite well as well. So it's good. They just need to build those bonds, really.
The snood that you bought her to replace her sunglasses when she arrived in Manchester. That's the kind of person we're talking to here, ladies and gentlemen. The tiniest little personal detail. It's always been about the long term. Tales, when we've spoken to you, we've spoken about to Michelle, and you touched on it earlier with just holding up the reins when those contracts for clubs entering the PWR were coming through, and just saying, hang on, if you want us to do a job up north, this is my taking anyway. We actually need a bit of support here. You've just been deducted 5 points for not reaching the EQP. Not enough English players, basically, in the 23. How does that sit with you?
To be honest, we knew it was always a possibility of it coming. You know, we've been in constant dialogue with the PWR around our scenario, and the long-term plan and what it's going to take to get that right for us. You know, last year we floated around, I think it was, Katie will probably correct me if it was like 7.4 or something on average. So for us to jump from that number to 13 was always going to be huge. And there's a whole infrastructure of parts to play within that, from our university links to our championship sides to just the sheer number of people playing rugby in the north. Coincide that with trying to recruit players was really difficult, and we knew that. You know, I think only 4 of the Roses moved last season, which was always going to be tough, and we knew that was difficult to relocate for those players. And yeah, we've taken it as a long-term project. You know, the boys have done it. It's taken them probably about 7 years to get that pathway correct. You know, like correct as they see it now, and bringing EQP players through regularly every year. And that's our aspiration. You know, we want to be a predominantly Northern rugby team, you know, producing our own EQP Northern rugby players. And thankfully, I think, you know, like I said before, like Michelle, Simon and Jed, they've done it with the guys. They know what it's going to take to do it with the girls. And I think that's what's so promising with this club, is just the amount of growth that it has is insane if we get it right. And it's going to take a lot of work. You know, that what we've done, and arguably this season so far, is away from the pitch. It's been nice to marry up the both. Of course it would have, but we know there's bigger things for us to sort in the long term.
In terms of that journey and this season and where you are you where you, the bigger picture, clearly you want to be winning games, obvious. You're a competitive person. Weren't you ever the 7 on your back? My goodness. But in terms of the bigger picture, are you where the whole, you know, looking at the club and the recruitment and all the rest of it, are you where you kind of expected to kind of be at this stage, February 2024?
Yeah, I think you're right in terms of performances. You know, arguably, had we not had our injury sort of crisis that we've got, we probably would have liked to have been a bit more competitive around some of the teams that are a bit closer to us in the current table. Score lines are something that probably bothers us in terms of we need to reduce those score lines. We want to be closer to the top 4 teams, especially if we can, you know, say talk around Exeter's example, like, you know, it's great that we're in it for 20 minutes, but it's an 80-minute game. So there are obviously aspects there that we have to continue to drive quite hard. Can't talk about what ifs, but if I talk about what's happening off the pitch, there's so much happening off the pitch. You know, I think at the moment we're trying to recruit and retain a lot of our young EQP players, and that's been a huge drive for us. You know, obviously the centre of excellence and all those bits around and all the work, the amazing work that's happening in the community around us is brilliant, like, because they've bought into it so much. But yeah, it's going to take us time, and I think we look at some of the numbers now of players that we've got that are EQP, and and it's non-comparable where it was to last season already. You know, probably the flip side of that is about 2/3 of them are under 23, maybe under 21, so they're young. But we know that was always going to be the case, and that's what we always knew of. So yeah, we've done a lot in that area. We've done big work with obviously like our university links, DICE programs starting, trying to put that pathway in for what the future would look like and generate EQP players year in, year out. And then it's obviously supporting and getting those ties with our local championship club. You know, we've got some really good club connections, and to be fair, like, you know, Sale are doing really, really well in the champ, and we've had a number of players with them dual registered. So it's about bringing everybody up at the same time. Otherwise, you know, we won't get it right. So yeah, is it probably off the pitch? Yes. You know, obviously we'll wait for our confirmation, you know, to become license holders. That's a huge bit for us to get that security in the league. We've got, you know, big game, obviously, being at the Salford Stadium, which is huge for us, something new for us to venture into that world. And our commercial team's driving really hard to grow our fan base. So yeah, there's so much happening, which is positive and exciting. It's difficult to marry that up probably with stuff that's on the pitch, but I think, like I said, like the group that we've got, they understand the bigger picture. It's difficult for them, but their buy-in has been amazing. Like, they're all out, they're all helping community rugby clubs, they're all putting presence, you know, at universities, they're all doing bits away from the pitch, and it has a huge effect, and hopefully they understand the impact that they're having in the long run.
Last one for me, because I know you're a busy lady. A, you still enjoying it? B, I know you do a song, like a motivational song for the week.
I don't
That's not confident.
You sing it?
No, I was like, you made out like I sing then.
I was ready
yeah.
for performance.
Guitar in the changing rooms at Carrington.
Imagine.
Yeah. No, you have a song that you play as a motivation. You sort of give some reason for it. You got Gloucester-Hartpury, this rearranged game at the weekend. So number one, are you still enjoying it? Still got that drive? Number two, what's the song for Gloucester-Hartpury this week?
We don't actually have a song this week. We did a little bit stuff around Exeter, and then when we spoke at the beginning of the season, I talked around. I think we've got the potential as a rugby team to be a sort of a beautiful blend of France and Fiji, which was probably the aim of where we want to be in the future. Not to say too much, but I took a couple of coconuts down to Exeter. I think everyone thought I was mental. But it's just to remind them, it's more stuff to just keep everything fresh and keep everyone, you know, like you said, enjoying the game. Like, they love what they do. They love putting their bodies on the line for 80 minutes. And it's just about giving them a bit of energy and trying to reconnect it with what we want to be as a rugby team and how we want to be seen. Yeah, I don't think the girls need much motivation to go against Gloucester-Hartpury at the moment. So they're pretty up for that. They probably won't need a song from me. Every time I'm going to say that now, I'm going to think that I'm going to sing in the changing rooms. I definitely don't.
I think that's a good sales point there. Tails will sing in the changing room before the game.
Yeah. I think I'll probably have more success singing in Gloucester-Hartpury's changing room to put them off maybe than putting in that to inspire them. But no, look, they're already hyped for it with all the stuff around, like the game rearrangement and stuff. So I think they'll bring enough energy into that game. And yeah, look, I love what I do. I know how fortunate I am to be in the industry that I am after playing and jumping across into coaching. I'm lucky enough that I work for the most amazing club that never say die, and a lot of that does come from Michelle, Simon and Jed, and obviously like Katie being Northern as well. Like, I love learning from those guys. So yeah, I'm still enjoying it, and everything I do, I'll want to make sure that whatever happens, that program is in a good place for not only the current players now that are in the north, but the ones that are coming through. And I think that's the most exciting bit, is like there's such a huge opportunity at Sale, and yeah, it's still it's tiring, but it inspires me every day to keep doing it because I love it. So yeah, bring it on.
It's so nice to hear that. Such a happy place. Sorry, just before I was speaking to Moana, I was speaking to Moz in WXV, and I said, she's smashing it this season. She's absolutely come out stormed it in WXV. And I said, what's changed? And she goes, I'm just loving it. I'm just really enjoying being around, being in Sale and having that. And I think, when you do get those players back, and like you've spoken today, I think it will be a really dangerous future for Sale and the rest of us, because it sounds like you guys are going to be unstoppable.
Awesome, Tales. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Love your positivity. Always great to chat to you. And all the best for the rest of the season. We hopefully catch you soon.
Thank you very much, guys.
I'm Maud Muir, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Great to hear from Rachel Taylor. She's an incredibly passionate lady. It's Monday morning after a 47-hour journey back from Exeter up to North Wales, where she lives, via Manchester. She just got pumped 64.5. I could totally accept her texting and saying, I'm just not up to it this morning. But she comes on, she's bright, she's breezy, and she just gets it, doesn't she? She gets the bigger picture. I feel at times that there's frustrations around what Sale are trying to do, and they've been there living it in the north with the men's team, what have you, and saying, well, we could do this for the women's. And I just wonder whether there's some traction. Oh, it's a lack of traction that should possibly be there for them. But she's quite a character, isn't she?
Yeah, and I think although they're probably not having the season on the pitch, the stuff that they're saying off the pitch really matters. It's important. Bristol, a few years ago, we were 8th, 7th in the table, and it is a long road. It takes a few years, and even now we're probably not sat where we want to be. We still want to grow and go. So the main thing is the support. They have amazing support at Sale. They have a brilliant vision for it. That's the key thing. The hard bit is, how do you get fans to engage with that? And what Tales is saying there, she wants to be a mixture of France and Fiji. But I want to go and watch that game. I want to go play for that team who play like that. So, that's the key thing. And it's extremely similar to Exeter Chiefs. They play a really exciting style of rugby, probably more structured this year, but in terms of they want to play that running game. Bristol, again, known for a running game rather than a kicking game. So you're seeing kind of new versions of rugby being brought into the women's game to get people involved. So it's so exciting to hear that's something that they're aiming for, because as a fan and as a spectator, that's the teams you want to go and watch. You want to see that flair. And even though they're probably not getting the results they want, the fact that Tales is still saying, go play, go try things, I think that's such a positive thing from a coach. The key is now actually to get those scores a little bit closer is, how do I now control this? What areas of the pitch can we control in? How can we play? But like she said, she's got a team of youngsters at the minute with that long injury list, and they're going to learn. And what a brilliant environment to learn in, where you can be a free-flowing rugby player and have support of the club behind you to continue to succeed in that area. So, yeah, I think it's exciting for Sale. I think, they'll probably be extremely disappointed off of that. But the positivity and the kind of energy around that, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, and you can always tell, the atmosphere of an organisation, whatever it may be, from the very top, and you don't come more passionate and more invested in terms of owners than Michelle Lawrence, who kind of heads up the women's stuff. It's sad that Lucy Ray is departing Saracens. She's been a big part of growing the women's team and everything around it. But I just wished Rachel Taylor, slightly biased here, hands up. I've worked with her. I think she's a cracking human being. A coach that's putting on different songs and motivations for it. And Dog Days Are Over, I think, was one of the first games. And then she's bringing coconuts into the occasion because she wants to play like Fiji and all the rest of it. I mean, she literally is giving absolutely all, and we wish her all the very best of luck, because you put that much effort in, you do deserve some rewards. And I think it'd be quite spicy against Gloucester-Hartpury. I think it was a bit of toing and froing when that game was cancelled back before the turn of the year. We wait and see. But back to back. Gloucester-Hartpury against Sale, and then Sale against Gloucester-Hartpury. Speaking of Gloucester-Hartpury, they beat your Bristol Bears team
Yeah, literally.
Left it late, didn't they?
In the 80th minute, I think. Yeah, to be fair, it was a brilliant game. I think if you're a spectator, that was one of the most exciting games I've watched in the WPR, and I'm going to be biased. I'm a Bristol supporter, so but actually both teams played an exciting style of rugby. There was brilliant kicks, there was brilliant line breaks, things like that. Alicia Butcher's Joyce played really well. She got 3 or 4 line breaks, and she just really come into her own, which is so nice to see, because she, before her injury in the World Cup, she was right up top, and she's slowly come back this season, and I'm just so excited to see her in the Six Nations. I think she's going to be brilliant for Wales, as she is always, but it's always hard after a long-term injury to get your confidence back up. So yeah, she was amazing. But yeah, unfortunately, Gloucester just got us in the second half, and I really thought this was the day we were going to do it. But we had three opportunities to exit out our 22, and we didn't. And they scored. It's a dangerous place. You don't want to have Gloucester in your 22 with the ball carriers that they have. They play round the corner as fast as they can, as heavy as they can. They're trying to beat the defence. If you're a team like Bristol who play rugby, play, it's extremely tiring to be on that back foot. So yeah, for me, I think if we got out of that zone a little bit quicker, if we had the freedom to, get Holly on that boot and use it, I think we could have won that game. But the rain did not help.
No, I had heard the conditions were absolutely appalling. Donna Skeldon crossed for a couple of years, didn't she? Millie Hart on her first start for Gloucester-Hartpury, another young player in the Red Roses' latest sort of training squad, and then Nell Metcalf, wasn't it, with that score right at the end. What does that do to your top 4, top 2 aspirations?
I think the main thing is for us that we came out with that bonus point, which previously in previous years we haven't managed to get the losing bonus points. And I think for us, it's a bit of a killer. I think that was an opportunity with the amount of injuries that Gloucester had. And I think the girls played really well. I'm not taking anything away from the girls. They put in a huge effort, a huge shift, and they did, in my opinion, they did deserve to win that game. But you're playing against the champions. They're going to do stuff. They're going to play until the last minute because that's what champions do. So yeah, I think we're sat at 4th now. But it makes the table a little bit more spicy. I think people will start to be like, oh, Bristol, they're going to have a go here. Yeah, it's just hats off to those guys, Gloucester-Hartpury, because they know how to win games, and that's something we're still learning. So yeah, fair play to them.
The circus rolls on.
And the thing is, they're just going to get better and better. They're getting, you got Tatiana to come back, you got Zoe Allcroft to come back, you've got Mackenzie Carson to come back, you've got a list of internationals to come back to that team. So yeah.
Stop it now. The rest of the league is all in trouble. The other news from the PWR last week, as we spoke about with Rachel Taylor, just to confirm it, Sale and Leicester have been deducted 5 match points. At the time, didn't change places in the table, and it won't make a difference because there's no relegation, of course. But it has been a huge leap, as Tales were describing there, from the amount of players you have to have qualified for England. Just wonder whether we're just trying to run before we can walk. I'm not going to get you to comment on this, Sarah. That would be unfair. And I wonder whether, having spoken to quite a few people over the weekend and stuff, whether one boot fits all. Geography is such an important part of the spread of rugby around the country, and does that boot have to fit everybody in the same kind of way because they're geographically very different? I'm not sure, but yeah, we move on. I mean, some clubs, understand, put 2 players last minute on the bench, and yeah, they squeeze through and what have you. So it's it's not ideal, but yeah, if we want the strongest league, we want English players playing in it, right? So that's the counter argument.
Right, and here is Rori with the rest of the news that happened around the world this week.
I'm Rori Taylorson and I play for the Valkeries at Weybridge Vandals. It's great to be back bringing you all the news from around the world of rugby. A reminder of England's PWR League results. Saracens were at the StoneX Stadium, which saw a record crowd of over 3,000, and the team didn't disappoint, beating their London neighbours Harlequins 29-24. Leicester won their second ever game. That's now 2 wins in the last 3. It was 17-22 at Loughborough Lightning. A new derby, Leicester will be delighted to have won at Franklin's Gardens. Sunday saw Exeter dispatch Sale 64-5. And in the West Country derby, Gloucester-Hartpury won a tight one 24-19 over Bristol. So the PWR table looks like this. Saracens still on top on 45 points after 10 games. Gloucester-Hartpury hot on their heels, 9 from 9 wins and 44 points. Exeter still very much in the hunt, 38 points from 10 games. Bristol in the last playoff spot are now 9 points clear of Loughborough Lightning, who are 2 points clear of Quins. Ealing mathematically are not out of it. They've played 9 and sit on 13 points. Then Leicester on 8 and Sale on 3 with a game in hand. Just the one fixture in the PWR this weekend. It's a rescheduled Gloucester-Hartpury versus Sale game, kicking off on Saturday at 1 p.m. at the Hartpury University Stadium. We have arrived at the playoff stages of the Celtic Challenge over the next 3 weekends. This week it's hosted at Scotstoun and Hive Stadium, the Kingspan Stadium in Belfast the week after, and it all ends at Parkee Scarlets on the 3rd of March, which will decide who's the champion. And it all starts on Saturday 1 p.m. as the Hive, as it's Edinburgh who take on the Wolfhounds. And at 4:30 p.m. at Scotstoun, Glasgow face Bristol Thunder. After a week off the top league in France, the Elite Feminine returns this weekend. In Pool 1, Lille play ASA Rogmana, Stade Francais travel to Pool Toppers, Stade Bordelais, and Montpellier host Bobogny. In Pool 2, Lyon go to leader Toulouse. It's Pau versus Stade Rennais, and Grenoble go head-to-head with Blagnac. In Australia, a historic schedule of trial games featuring international opposition will help preparations for the Super W 2024 season. Through February and early March, the Queensland Reds, New South Wales Waratahs and Brumbies will face the Japanese side, Tokyo Sankey Phoenix, the Hong Kong national side and a Pacifica 15. We told you a couple of weeks ago about the Spanish-Italian High Performance Series. Well, Benetton have been crowned champions and lifted the Latin Cup after beating both Spanish teams. First, it was against Iberian Sitges, and at the weekend, Iberians Valencia, who were defeated 41-12 in Treviso. That's it. Consider yourselves up to date. I'll be back next week, but for now, it's back to Berna and Johnnie.
Thank you, Rori. Really positive feedback from Rori. She's got a lovely voice, very clear voice. Incredibly confident young lady for her age. Speaking wonderful French as well. We have been talking for some time now. Very honoured to say a friend of mine, Gary Street, and someone you know, Berner as well. I know he's followed your career very, very closely. Gary continues his recovery. There is a move home date proposed, but it is a really, really long road he has ahead of him with Helen, Flip, and the boys. So if you can do something, GoFundMe, Streets Ahead, and later on this week there is a silent auction with some quite incredible prizes that have been volunteered and donated. So if you want to get involved in that as well, keep across our social channels for that. But I just thought we would be nice to hear from inside the camp, as it were, inside the street camp. And Helen, his wife, his lovely, lovely wife, I caught up with her a little bit earlier on. It is a huge, the biggest, warmest welcome to the WRP to Helen Flip Street, wife, of course, of Gary Street. Helen Flip, how are you?
I'm all right. Processing. Yeah, just living day by day. Yeah, just doing my best. Yeah.
And how is Gary?
Yeah, I mean he's so much better than he was. I mean, right at the beginning it was terrible. So from there to now he's massively different. You know, he came home yesterday for a few hours, which was amazing. But in his own environment, he's not too bad. But sort of walking around, we went out. He's not stable on his feet. You're constantly looking at the ground to make sure there's nothing uneven. He nearly went over one time, but we managed to sort of just put him back up. But the biggest problem is his speech. It's just not there. It's okay. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to hold a conversation. He at one point yesterday he went, "I know," and we were all like, and he was like. So he now and again, the automatic speech, something will come out if he's not thinking about it. But if you ask him a question and he's got to answer, he can't.
Oh, look, this is incredibly tough. But you've been living and breathing this for months and months and months now. Mm. But the trajectory, we had a little wobble, didn't we, a couple of weeks back, when he was back in intensive care. But at one time we didn't think that he was going to get back to his feet or words were even possible. I mean, obviously you're going to cling on to anything you can, but medically the trajectory is upwards, is it? Yeah.
So I mean, he's still improving with his walking. His hands are getting better. His right arm. He scratched his nose yesterday again, and that's massive. He's not been able to do that. So in that sense, physically everything's progressing the way it should, but the added problem is his vocal cords are paralyzed. So when you speak, your vocal cords come together and they vibrate and they do everything they should. And then when you breathe, they should come apart. So you've got a nice gap. His are stuck like this. So he's constantly breathing for a really small gap. So when he does anything where you would require a deeper breath, he's got to work harder to get that in, and you get that horrible, you can hear he's really sucking the air in. And that's a limiting factor as well, because they can't push him too far physically because he can't breathe, which is obviously pretty important. And then a couple of weeks ago, the issue was he got a bit of a sore throat, which you and me, swig of Benylin, carry on, because of the restricted airway already, any kind of inflammation in that becomes serious really quickly.
And within himself, because a more mischievous, and I'll always be honest, man, packed full of really terrible jokes.
Yeah, that stopped. So silver lining. But he's still in there. He still abuses it. He's still funny. He still makes jokes somehow. He does a lot of miming, which is quite rubbish miming, but because he's now a bit stronger in the arms, he's pretending to shadow box and things. So he's still cheeky. He still makes people laugh. I mean, they do at the rehab centre. They have a lot of social interaction. So they've got like a quiz, and he can't answer the questions. So he just makes noises. He just heckles while so he's still a pain. Yeah, he's still there. Yeah, and he does enjoy a laugh still. But then on the flip side, there are times when obviously the enormity of what's happened, usually when it's just me and him, he does get very sad. We have moments where it's pretty depressing, to be honest, but he still gets up the next day. He still goes for it. So yeah, he's still there.
Well, he's been he's been telling players that for years, isn't he? You've got to get back on the horse. You've got to keep fighting. You've got to strive to keep getting better. So
stay in the fight. That's one of his lines. Stay in the fight, and he is. He's staying in the fight.
and of course, not just affect you and him, but the boys as well, and the logistics of it all, and visiting hospital and all that kind of stuff. You got some pretty good neighbours around, and family and friends.
I've got a great bunch of people, mainly online. My family are not local. His sister and him, like his hardcore friends from school and growing up, are all in Birmingham. But I've got good people to call on. Yeah. But in terms of actually here every day, it's just us. And we like it that way. We're making it work. What's been lovely is people have sent food. The boys love that. I love that. So
okay. Yeah. Right, the muffin parcels.
I'm not begging for food. we do fine. We're not starving in here or anything. But my mum, because she can't get here, she'll send me some food. She'll send a food parcel. It's lovely.
Oh, that's cool, Mum. There's a Pantechnicon arriving in the driveway. It's full of food for us. No, we don't want that. Look, that's fairly ski sock like seamless transition to what has been going on, because the road to recovery, I suspect, it's a bit like an iceberg. You kind of deal with one bit, and then there's another bit underneath, and there's another bit underneath. So, what's been going on? Where can people help? I mean, I know this stuff, but for our listeners out there. So
we had a meeting with the hospital and all his medical team, and we've got this discharge date in mind. Provisionally of the 7th of March. Amazing. Hopefully we're still pushing forward with that. But I was unaware of how difficult it was going to be in terms of services once he's home. I thought, you get discharged, they arrange physio, speech therapy and everything. But in the community, you have to go back on a waiting list. So there is a 2-year waiting list for speech therapy. There is a shortage of speech therapists nationwide. Physio, yourself, if you hurt something, it takes a while to get an appointment. You're talking sort of at least 6 weeks to 2 months to get an appointment. So it's a no-brainer. We'll pay for it ourselves. And we thought, we'll do a bit of fundraising, see how we get on. And it's just blown our minds. The GoFundMe page is just unbelievable, the amount of support. Just overwhelming, totally overwhelming. We sat there and watched it the first day. I can't even remember. I think by the end of the first day, we were already at £10,000 or something ridiculous. And it was just like, this is insane. I mean, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, but overwhelming. And then, obviously, the wonderful Sue Dorrington said she'd help.
Yeah, you got Sue Dorrington, lady, alongside some others, basically created the first ever World Cup for women's rugby. She's a lady.
Yeah.
She's a lady that gets stuff done. What is being done? And where can people get involved and support?
So there's the GoFundMe page, which is going great guns at the moment. Moving on from there, we've got a silent auction coming up. So we've got some amazing items. People have been so generous. We've got 8 nights in Thailand. We've got a cottage in France for a week or 5 days. I can't remember. We've got signed shirt by Martin Johnson and all the 2003 World Cup winning squad. We've got a ball as well. We've got lots of unbelievable items. Some gin as well, I think. I'm pretty sure. And that goes live sometime the next week or so. And then further down the line, we'll be looking to do things around the Women's Six Nations, obviously, being the passion. And then further on from that, the 2014 squad are getting involved in an event to be confirmed. It will be of some kind of physical nature. And also Helen Clayton, Rob Clayton, who I played rugby with back in the day, she's doing a half Ironman in September and has said she would like to give us the proceeds from that, the sponsorship from that. So plenty going on. And Jan Mann's involved. If anybody doesn't know Jan Mann, she was the England manager for a number of years in 2014 included. And she's another get things done. So we're in good hands here, people.
Yeah, indeedy so. That page for the silent auction going live middle of this week, I believe. Being involved in the committee. We're looking to do some live events as well, and hoping to include some fundraising for Gary in there as well on the WRP. But just how heartwarming has the response been thus far, Flip?
It's been overwhelming, completely overwhelming. You look at some of the people on there, names that you know from, the professional game, but also people who, like yesterday, one of the stewards who does the stewarding at Twickenham on a match day, he's made a donation. He's a lovely man. Yeah, so and then we've got people who have made huge donations who we used to play rugby with up in the Midlands. And then you've got people who've given us, £5, which is like their morning coffee and bacon sandwich. And just so grateful that people have wanted to do that for him.
Can Streety get a sense of that, and how much is that spurring him on?
I think part of the reason he went downhill a couple of weeks ago is because he put in so much effort. He then overdid it because he was just like, I've got to do this for these people. I've got to do it for the people who are supporting me. So enthusiastic, shall we say? Yes, spurring him on definitely. But at the same time, we're learning. We've got to just hold him back just a little bit, slowly, rather than bull in a china shop. But yes, he's fully aware of what's happening.
Because it's a really difficult one, isn't it? Because the lots of positive steps and return home and all the rest of it. He knows, and I think realistic enough to know that this is a long road, and it's a difficult juggling act. I would have thought to think, oh, we need that help. I've still got to crack on and do stuff with the boys. It must be incredibly draining on you. Where are you finding the strength, Flip?
Eat, sleep, repeat. That's do the basics. Be positive. Try and keep everything as normal as I can for the boys. So, go to school, have clean clothes, be fed, go to rugby, clean your rugby boots. Just do everything as normal as possible for them. When he came home yesterday, it was wonderful. And then his sister took him back there, which is always hard. Saying goodbye at the hospital is always awful, but sending him home was difficult. And the three of us, we did get emotional. And I said to them that when he comes home, I'm going to do everything to make sure their lives don't change too much. I don't want them to be carers. I want them to care, but I don't want them to go, right, well, I can't go out because I've got to help mum put dad to bed. I don't want that. I want it to be as normal as possible. And that's why I need to make sure he can be as independent as possible when he comes home. And that's my goal, is to keep everything normal. That was quite a rant, wasn't it? You might want to edit that.
I'm just utterly engrossed. That is not a rant. It's just so very, very clear. Care but not carers. That's wonderful. And that's I'd say some people can certainly grab hold of. But be blown away by the response. I'm privileged enough you asked me to be involved in a tiny little way, and we'll do whatever we can here on the WRP. Is there some tiny little area of all of this you think, oh God, I wish we had, or anything extra beyond the GoFundMe and the silent auction anyone can help with? No, Sue Dorrington's involved. It's all covered off.
Yeah, it's covered. Yeah, I have no experience of raising money for anything. If someone's doing something, I will chuck in some money. That's what I do. In terms of actually getting involved and going, right, this will raise money, I've got no experience. It's completely out of my my current sphere. So now it's sort of just take as much advice as you can, and that's what I need, is just advice. I also need to know how to spend it. That's quite a strange thing, because obviously we want to do the speech therapy and the physio and the hand therapy. They're the major things that are going to cost a lot of money. But in terms of what do I need in the house, So we've got an assessment next Monday. They're coming around to do an assessment. But because he is mobile and he's relative, in terms of independence, he can do a certain amount. There's a very limited amount that the NHS will help us with, which isn't a criticism of them. I understand resources have to go where they're needed. But we won't get a wheelchair. We won't get, we'll get handrails, but we won't get a stair lift. We could have a hospital bed, but it'd be a single. So knowing, and a chair. He was sitting on the sofa yesterday and he was blatantly uncomfortable after about 10 minutes. So it's knowing what he needs. And that's something I need to get more information on.
Oh, I can see him in one of those huge American armchairs.
Oh, yeah.
With everything's electric. And he's got drinks holders, like a little fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone's got one of those lying around?
In black, that would be lovely.
In black leather. There you are. Well, the hunt for the big American chair. There you are. Flip, it's been really lovely to talk to you. If any messages need to get out there, well, obviously we're putting them out on the WRP, but you're welcome any time at all. Hopefully that return to home date stays where it is, and it's another positive step forward.
Thanks, Johnny.
On to the shout outs this week. Massive congratulations for Sarah Cox, who got an MBE last week, which is a member of British Empire, for those who don't know. She's the first female referee to be awarded with this, and that's some amazing honour there. So, yeah, well done to her.
Yeah, I gave her a small curtsy at the Stone X. I don't think she's overly impressed. But look, for all the laughing and joking, you've got to have people who lead the way. And she has been a snowplow of someone leading the way. Holly Davidson at the weekend, wasn't she? Assistant referee in Men's Six Nations, first one to do that. So Amy Perret-Theron has been in social medias as well. Carry on doing what you're doing, Amy. You're fine by us. But yeah, no, huge congratulations to Sarah. Speaking of awards, it was awards time down in Australia. Eve Kapani is the Wallaroos Player of the Year. Yeah, she really is a fabulous player. Vitella Monica is the inaugural Junior Wallaroo of the Year. Yeah, lots of chatter about her. And Madison Levi, the Sevens Player of the Year. Karis Dallinger, Newcomer of the Year. And just the back, huge congratulations to those players. We've tried to get Madison Levi on the pod twice, and we've tried to get Karis Dallinger on the pod once. I don't understand why it has to be so very, very difficult. I don't have the time to send endless emails. Let's get the players' stories out there. Please, Wallaroos media team, please do better. Get someone in place so that actually these girls can tell their story and everyone else can hear about how good a player Karis Dallinger is, and Maddie Levi rips out the sevens whenever she puts the shirt on. Rant over.
Brooke Bradley with 50 Prem appearances for Exeter this year. She's having a brilliant season, called into camp. So let's see where that journey takes it. But yeah, very well done to Brooke. 50 appearances is a challenge, and well done for completing that. Yeah,
and they felt it was going to be a massive hole with Flo Robinson leaving Exeter Chiefs. And Brooke Bradley has cleanly stepped up and got that rewards by, as you say, getting into the Red Roses training camp. Go on, then, one prediction: Gloucester-Hartpury against Sale. You're brave now that Tails has gone, yeah.
Yeah, Gloucester. I think at the minute they're building nicely. They are the champions, and unfortunately for Sale, they're not getting the results on the pitch that they would like, as Tails said. So I'm going pretty well on for Gloucester this week. However, I do think it will be a good fight. By the sounds of it, Sale are really up for it. So yeah, I'm excited to see that one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I'll go Gloucester-Hartpury, but I'm also going for a prediction of at least 2 yellow cards.
To who?
It's just going to be that fizzy. It's just going to be that fizzy, honestly. What are you up to this weekend? Apart from that, the PWR is resting. We've got the Celtic Challenge games going on. What are your plans for the weekend?
I will be Probably just sat on the game ready this weekend, getting my knee ready. My family are going to come up as well because it's half term, so my nephews are off, so I'll see those guys at some point.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, half term. Oh, awesome. Bernard, it's been great. As ever, a huge thank you to Rachel Taylor. As we said, could have easily just shied away, but never shied away as a player, and she doesn't shy away as a coach. So great to speak to her and to Flip Street. Really lovely to speak to her. Yeah, got all emotional. But yeah, the outpouring of emotion for Gary has been brilliant. But we need to keep it up because it's a long road. But Helen, really appreciate your time with everything else you're going through. We'll see you next week, will we, Berna?
Yes, definitely. I'll be here.
Great stuff. Till then, stay safe.
Bye. Bye. Have a great weekend.